You're approaching the next station. Use the power brake handle to apply power so that you come to a gentle stop at the indicated marker on the platform. This platform is on the right, so you'll need to use the Open Right Doors button to unlock and open the doors this time. Use the Doors Close Right button to close and lock the doors. Drive the train to the next platform without any further guidance and see how you get on. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll be learning about the various camera controls and how to get the best views. You can drive from in the cab or an exterior camera. Exterior views are particularly useful for coupling and uncoupling. Currently, you're in the cab of this Class 323 EMU with the same view a real driver would have. Before experimenting with camera views, set the train up correctly as if ready for departure. We will now explore the camera controls. When using a controller, you simply use the same control again to toggle back into the cab. Do that now. Now that you're used to interior and exterior, switch back to the exterior view again to learn more about it. From the exterior, you can move the camera around. Use the controls indicated to move and turn the camera. Spend a minute just practicing moving and turning the camera. You can zoom in and out using the indicated control. Try it now. While in an external camera, you can also interact with some elements such as junctions. You'll be learning about junctions properly in a different training module, but for now, fly over to the indicated junction and change it by interacting with it using the controls indicated. There's a lot more to learn about cameras, including numerous other camera modes. You can find out more in other areas of the training center. That concludes this. Module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this module, you'll combine everything you learned from the moving a train, passenger operations, and camera controls modules, but from outside the train. Now you'll have the freedom to enjoy external cameras while driving the train. Before you go any further, get the lighting all set up correctly. In most trains, you'll find functions. If you find a train where the master key does not set automatically on the controller, pop back into the cab to do it and then switch back to the exterior view again. Next, use the indicated control to set the reverser to forwards. Just as with other modules, you're currently sitting in a Class 323 multiple unit. You must now switch to the exterior camera. If you need a reminder on how to do this, head over to the camera controls module first and have a quick refresher. Aside from the magnificent views, exterior camera views can make it easier to complete tasks such as coupling, checking your lights, and changing junctions. Only a small number of the most common functions are usable for an exterior camera. If you find you need to do something that isn't available, simply switch to the internal camera to do it, and then switch back. Finally, use the indicated controls to apply some power. Now that you've moved down the track, it's time to bring the train to a stop. Use the controls indicated to adjust the power brake handle to Try restarting this tutorial and running it a few times until you're comfortable with driving from the outside, including moving the camera around. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll be learning how to shut down a cab and change ends of the train so that you can drive in the other direction. You'll bring this unit back to central square sidings. You'll need to change ends a couple of times. Don't worry about how the train is going to get there though, all the paths are going to be set for you. You just need to change ends and then drive when you're given instruction to do so. Get started by setting this cab up for operation. Activate the master key first to unlock the control desk. Set the headlights for daytime operation and ensure the tail lights. Set the reverser to forwards, as that's the direction you'll be going. The first move brings the train forwards to the junction around the corner from here, and you'll be stopping once the rear of the train has cleared it. Apply some... That's far enough. Now that the train has stopped, you need to shut this cab down. Turn off the headlights and ensure the tail lights are on. Set the reverser to off. This cab is now shut down. Walk over to the other end of the train, ensuring to close any doors behind you. Sit in the driver's seat. Follow the steps indicated to activate this cab, repeating the procedure that you did when you set up the previous cab. Now that the cab is active, wait for the yard controller to give us permission to proceed forward once they've checked and blocked all the junctions for us. You're good to go. Follow the steps indicated to deactivate this cab. Now that the cab is active, wait for the yard controller to give us permission to proceed forward once they've checked and locked all the junctions for us. You're good to go. Apply some... Before you finish, take a moment to review. When changing cabs on almost any train, there are some common things to double check before you depart the cab you're finished with. What position have you left the throttle and brake controls in? What position is the reverser in? Are the headlights and taillights set up correctly for what will become the rear of the train? Are all doors closed? Once you get used to each train you operate, you'll quickly begin to remember what each one needs and get used to the elements that are common between different trains. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll be learning about the live 2D map and how it can help you understand where you are, where your objective is, and how you can change the path of the train to get to the right place. Under normal circumstances, the driver has little, if anything, to do with where a train is going. It's all handled centrally by a signaling center or dispatcher. Within yards and depots, however, you will find that these are often managed by the crew of the train directly. That means you. You can tell whether a junction is manual or automatic by looking at it. If it has no big lever, then it's automatic and you can't influence it. If it does, then interacting with that lever will change the junction. For this module, you'll take this class 323 from the siding here next to the main loops and set all the junctions yourself to direct the train to the switch lines, and then change ends and repeat the process to bring the train into the depot. Your destination has been set over in the switch lines on the far west of the training center. Use the map to follow the path from the train to the destination and change all the junctions you need to get there. If you make a mistake and go the wrong way, you can go back and try to correct it. If you're not ready for that, just restart the module and try again. You've made it to the first destination. Go ahead and change ends in the train and you can try one more time for practice. Once again, use the map to adjust the junctions between your train and the destination. Where the black lines on the 2D map aren't aligned with the blue path, change the junction. When you're ready, get moving. In this training module, you'll be learning about the live 2D map and how it can help you understand where you are, where your objective is, and how you can change the path of the train to get to the right place. Under normal circumstances, the driver has little, if anything, to do with where a train is going. It's all handled centrally by a signaling center or dispatcher. Within yards and depots, however, you will find that these are often managed by the crew of the train directly. That means you. You can tell whether a junction is manual or automatic by looking at it. If it has no big lever, then it's automatic and you can't influence it. If it does, then interacting with that lever will change the junction. For this module, you'll take this class 323 from the siding here next to the main loops, and set all the junctions yourself to direct the train to the switch lines, and then change ends and repeat the process to bring the train into the depot. Your destination has been set over in the switch lines on the far west of the training centre. Use the map to follow the path from the train to the destination and change all the junctions you need to get there. If you make a mistake and go the wrong way, you can go back and try to correct it. If you're not ready for that, just restart the module and try again. You've made it to the first destination. Go ahead and change ends in the train, and you can try one more time for practice. Once again, use the map to adjust the junctions between your train and the destination. Where the black lines on the 2D map aren't aligned with the blue path, change the junction. When you're ready, get moving. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you're going to learn to drive a diesel-electric locomotive and how the controls differ from a multiple unit. This is a BR Class 66 diesel-electric locomotive typically used for freight operations in the United Kingdom. In some trains, it is first necessary to insert the reverser handle. We need to do that on this one. We want to move the train forwards, so move the reverser in that direction. The train brake on the Class 66 uses a sprung lever. Holding it one way will gradually release the brakes until you release the lever. Holding it the other will gradually apply the brakes. You need to keep an eye on the two brake gauges in front of you. The larger one in the middle is the brake pipe. The outside needle shows the target pressure and the inside needle shows the actual pressure. When you apply or release the brakes, the outer needle moves and the onboard control systems will begin to adjust the brakes to match your setting. You can make a change to the brakes and focus on the road ahead while the system works to match the pressure you've set. The second gauge of note is the brake cylinder gauge, which is the second from the left. This tells you exactly what is happening with the brakes on the two sets of wheels on the locomotive. If the needles are raised to a V shape, that means they are fully applied. When the needles are both pointing directly down, the brakes on the locomotive will be fully released. You can learn more about braking systems elsewhere in the training center. But for now, you just need to remember that you are directly controlling the outer needle on the brake pipe gauge and that the end result is shown on the brake cylinder gauge. Keep the brake control in release until you can see the brake pipe control needle is reading 5 bar, pointing upwards. This will release the brakes fully. Watch the brake cylinder gauge to see it gradually reduce to 0.0. Needles pointing downwards, which tells you that the brakes are now fully released on the locomotive and you can move the train. It's important to note that the brake cylinder gauge is only telling you what's happening on your locomotive. If you have wagons attached, they can take a little longer to release, so if the train doesn't move immediately, don't worry. Apply some throttle to get the train moving. As you apply power, notice the ammeter rising, the gauge on the right-hand side with the colored sections. This is the amount of power being fed into the traction motors. Try to keep it in the green section, only briefly in the yellow, and avoid the red section to avoid damaging your traction motors. Now that you've reached your target speed, you can move the throttle control back to 0. The train will then coast on level ground and the train will only slow down very gradually. That's far enough. Bring this train to a complete stop by holding the brake control in the apply state until you see the brake pipe control needle in the center of your cab desk showing about 4 bar. The amount of braking you'll need to apply also varies depending on whether you're going uphill or downhill and how heavy your train is. Stopping a train is one of the biggest challenges of controlling it, particularly stopping it in the right place. You'll get better at this with practice. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll be learning about changing ends with a locomotive. Many types of locomotives have 2 cabs in order to make them as versatile as possible. While the cabs are often virtually identical, they are often referred to as either the A and B ends, number 1 or 2 end, or simply their front and back. Usually the designation of the cab is written somewhere in the cab. In the case of the Class 66, it's above the window on the right-hand side. In this case, you can see you're in the number 1 cab. All the junctions will be set for you in this module. You'll just be focusing on the locomotive. First, get the train moving forwards and drive over to the indicated stop marker and come to a stop in the platform somewhere. Okay, let's change ends. The basic process is always the same. Shut down the cab you're in and set up a new cab. Each cab has slightly different requirements to shut it down and set it up, however. Start by setting the reverser back. Now remove the reverser. Removing the reverser has automatically applied the brakes on the locomotive, so you don't need to worry about what happens when you change ends or what position to leave the train brake in. On this locomotive and on some others, you also need to make sure to put the locomotive brake in the release position when you're ready to switch cabs. If you don't, the controls in the other cab won't be able to release the brake. Before you move to the other cab, set the tail lights on and turn the headlights off. If you've used cab light or desk lights, turn those off too. Head to the other cab. You'll need to leave the train and get back on board at the other end. While some trains allow you to walk from cab to cab internally, it's often hot and uncomfortable. Notice that this end shows that you're in cab number 2 with the writing above the right-hand window. Get the cab set up as per normal and then pull forward to the marker in the other siding and come to a stop anywhere in there. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll move some mineral wagons to a new location and learn how to couple and uncouple the wagons to your locomotive. All junctions are going to be changed automatically for you in this tutorial, so you can focus on driving. The mineral wagons are located ahead of us. Start by putting gently forwards until you touch the wagons and stop. This will take some practice as it requires a lot more fine control. You'll find the locomotive brake is easier and more responsive. Take your time. If you hit the wagons too hard, they might come off the track, so try to be gentle and aim for 2 miles per hour or under as you touch them. You may also prefer the external camera to give more visibility, particularly as you get close to the wagons. In this training module, you'll be learning about vehicles called control cars or cab cars. In the UK, they're often called driving van trailer or DVT cars, and you will likely come across other names for them too. The name cab car will be used for the rest of this module to keep it simple. Cab cars are essentially a passenger coach with a driving cab in them, but most importantly, they have no means of propulsion themselves. There are no engines or motors, so they can't move under their own power. The way that a cab car works is it will remotely control a locomotive at the other end of the train, and this is where it's important to understand their behavior as being a little different to the cab experience of the locomotive itself. There may be a little lag in control response, and you may not quite have the same instrument outputs as you do in the locomotive itself. For this module, you'll be taking this German Doppelstock cab car, which has a BR146.2 locomotive at the other end, setting it up and then driving it forwards to a marker at the other end of the yard area. Revisit this module a couple of times to try different things out and get familiar with the subtle difference when driving from the cab car. One of the biggest and most obvious differences when driving from the cab car is that there's a lot less sound. Since all the motors and fans are at the other end of the train, it can be a little disconcerting at first. Engage the brake system by turning this key. Put the reverser in forwards. Turn on the headlights and set... Ensure the doors are closed. Release the brakes and apply some power to get moving. It feels a little odd at first. All the audio cues you're used to in the cab aren't present here, so you just need to give the locomotive time to react to your commands. Experiment with some power and some brakes and see how the train reacts. You may find some sharp jolts happening because of how the slack is being bunched up or stretched out by the loco at the back. You can minimize this by making your first power or brake applications lighter and then increasing them. You'll get used to this with practice and experience. Cut the power and coast the rest of the way. This is far enough. Bring the train to a stop now by applying the train brake. This is just a brief introduction to cab cars. The changing ends for cab cars training module goes into more depth about both the cab car and the BR146.2 locomotive on the other end of the train. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll practice going between the BR146.2 locomotive at one end of the train and the cab car at the other. All the junctions are being taken care of for you by another team member, allowing you to focus on driving. You're starting here in a siding near the main loop. Get started by climbing in. Insert the reverser handle and set the reverser to forward. Set the headlights to bright, and on the back wheel set the signal lights to headlights. Release the brakes and apply power to get moving towards the marker.
Störung. Störung, 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 Störung.